I recently helped someone with their budget, and I had offered to help them sooner. I offered to help them like 5 months ago. They didn't take me up on the offer. They're like, oh, things will work out. Now they got to the point where they're getting desperate. They ran out of money. And now they are like, yeah, okay, I need help with my budget. If they would have made changes 5 months ago, they'd be fine. They didn't do that. So many people are so anxious about money that they wait way too long to talk about money. For whatever reason, there's a big trend with a lot of the human population, especially in the United States, but just in general, that talking about money is something you do when there's a problem, when something's going wrong with money. And that's not good, because money can be used to do good things. Money can be used to help your life and to add to your life. Money can be used for positive stuff, and yet there's this big pushback sometimes talking about money from people who are afraid of money, or it makes them irritated, it bothers them, they feel embarrassed, whatever the feeling is. It keeps them from talking about it until it's a crisis. And at that point, when it's a crisis, it is problematic. It is hard to talk about it. But if you would have talked about it before it became a crisis, it could have been a relief. It could have been, let's talk about goals. Let's talk about things you want. It can be a happy conversation. It can be a positive, forward momentum conversation to talk about money before things go wrong. But even besides that, talking about money before things go wrong mitigates the damage of things going wrong. If you've already set up an emergency fund or a rainy day fund, if you want to call it that, if you've already set it up, then when those things that are stressful in life happen, and they just happen, they come up, you know, someone ended up sick and you weren't expecting it, or your car got stolen, or whatever it is, stuff happens in life that's unpredictable. It's less terrifying when you know financially it's going to be okay. The emotional blow is still there. The mental blow is still there. Maybe even a physical blow, depending on the situation, is still there. But the financial blow is mitigated. If you are talking about finances early, when you get to retirement, it's not as much of a, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I'm 10 years away from retirement and I've got nothing. Or you can talk about it early and be set up. There's a big difference between, hey, you know what? I'd like to start, setting aside a certain amount of money toward a down payment on a house versus, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. I'm happy. I want us to have a baby, but we can't stay in this apartment. We don't have space. This is a freaking studio. We can't have a baby in here. Oh my gosh, we need to think about a home. We don't have any money for that. It gets stressful. It gets very, very, very stressful when you also have to take a financial blow. You can mitigate damage by thinking about it early. Also, talking about money before something goes wrong can create opportunity for the something that goes wrong to be quickly fixable. Oh, you know what? I have been working really hard and everything. We've been talking about putting some of the money in this paycheck toward helping this particular group of people. And so we've been doing that. We've been helping, my cousin. I know that they are having a hard time. They ended up in the hospital. They got hurt at work. And I just want to help them out and stuff. And then, oh no, our house burned down. Well, now your cousin's offering for you to come stay at their place. You talked about money. You did something with your money. And now you aren't desperate as bad as you would be. You have somewhere to stay while insurance goes through and while you can get somewhere else. Investing money intelligently, not just into the stock market, not just into some assets, but into human beings. Thinking about your future, thinking about, hey, I don't want to be distressed in the crisis even more than the crisis itself is going to be. Talking about money before it's a crisis. If you have been living so poor that you are in a constant state of struggle, and it has been every month you are lucky if you can keep every bill paid, and it's just been that way for as long as you can remember. You don't even remember a time when it wasn't like that. Even when you were a kid, your parents lived that way. Like, it's just always been that way. Talking about money, you don't have the option of before the crisis, but talking about it right now can help you understand what you have to work with and how much more you need to somehow earn. What side job or gig or freelance work or whatever hustle, if you talk about it while you're in crisis, it can help you get out of the crisis. Even if you do wait to talk about it until it's a problem, it can still help you get away from that problem sooner. You don't have to live your entire life in crisis mode. Not everyone can afford to have the biggest emergency fund in the world. Not everyone can afford to do investing very easily. Not everyone can afford to say, you know what, I'm gonna have a retirement account and it's gonna work out and it's gonna be good. But knowing beforehand that that's what you're gonna do, having some sort of plan of action for, hey, you know what, something bad just happened, so here's what I'm gonna do. Just having a plan of action is a huge thing to help you. Don't be so intimidated by talking about money. Don't be so afraid of talking about your budget, talking about ways that you can help yourself that you don't, because it just prolongs the bad. It can be truly daunting to talk about money, knowing a very real reality-based stance of what you have to work with and where you are, and being able to accept that can propel you tremendously towards something better. And if you aren't in a bad spot right now, don't think that means, oh, I can ignore money. Take half an hour, sit down with your significant other, go over it a little bit. It doesn't have to be a giant discussion that takes an entire weekend. Get yourself situated with them and just say, hey, you know what? Here we go. We've got a plan of action. Maybe even turn it into a once a month thing. Hey, you know what? Can we sit down for 15 minutes? We still good? This still the plan of action? Have we made any decisions? Anything coming up? Okay, cool. It doesn't have to be a giant convoluted thing. Maybe you are daunted by math itself. There are calculators on phones and computers, and even if you can't afford to get a calculator, just use one of those and let the calculator help you. If you know how to use an Excel spreadsheet, you can do that. There are online forms that are free that you can use for budgets. Just don't let your disgust toward math, maybe you hated it in school, it was the worst subject, don't let it keep you from having prosperity in your life and having a plan of action for yourself. Protect yourself, protect your family. Talk about money.